Trump promises real hell in the Middle East. Israel is preparing for war with Turkey, and Turkey is threatening the Syrian Kurds with a full-blown invasion. A major conflict is brewing in the region. This is Ilya Brizak. Let's discuss it. According to the Jerusalem Post, a committee to study Israel's defense budget and force buildup warns that Israel should prepare for a possible war with Turkey. The report states that the presence of pro-Turkish forces inside Syria after the toppling of the Assad regime could pose a direct threat to Israel on both the strategic and operational levels. At the same time, it emphasizes that this potential threat could be even more dangerous than the Iranian threat due to its territorial proximity to Israel. In response to the committee's report, Netanyahu said that the world is witnessing fundamental changes in the Middle East, and that the report provides an important roadmap for securing Israel's future. Syrian sources report that the Israeli army, with a column of tanks, infiltrated the towns of Alasha and Abu Ghara, as well as Mazara'at al-Hiran in the southern countryside of Quneitra. The Russian Sputnik news agency also reported that the IDF sent large forces to the Al-Amar area in Quneitra and took control of all the peaks dominating the area. According to the report, the IDF erected communication towers and placed surveillance equipment on these peaks. Subscribe to my channel right now. I tell you about the latest news from around the world. At the same time, Israel is preparing for Trump's inauguration and a possible joint attack on Iran. Ahead of the change of administration in the White House, the IDF Deputy Chief of General Staff met with a senior U.S. military official to discuss future joint security steps, and also preparations for a possible attack on Iran, which has dramatically increased the amount of uranium for nuclear weapons since the U.S. withdrew from the nuclear deal. Therefore, experts are concerned that immediately after taking office as U.S. president, Trump will launch active military action that will have catastrophic consequences for the region. Also at yesterday's press conference, Trump said, quote, "I don't want to hear about negotiations after my inauguration. If the Israeli hostages are not released by my inauguration, all hell will break loose in the Middle East. It will not be good for Hamas and the others. Real hell will break out," end quote. After these words, Tel Aviv put up a huge sign with the image of President Trump with the words, "Release the kidnapped or the gates of hell will open." In turn, the new Secretary of State in the Trump administration, Marco Rubio, said that there will be serious changes in the Middle East. He emphasized that he warns all countries to quickly withdraw their assets from Iran, that nothing good is expected for the Islamic Republic, and that the Iranian regime will no longer be able to exist. So added that the world is expecting big things to happen in Iran. Possible Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre said that Iran was behind the October 7th massacre. Iran controls Hamas, funds it, supplies it with weapons and intelligence, and directs it to carry out terrorist attacks. They do this through the terrorist wing of the Revolutionary Guard, said Pierre. Earlier, the politician said, quote, "An Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear facilities would be a gift to mankind," end quote. Also, Trump in his statement refused to rule out any military action regarding the Panama Canal and Greenland. Denmark should cede Greenland to the U.S. to protect the free world from the ships of China and Russia, who have long had their eyes on this island. In response to Trump's comments on Greenland, the French Foreign Ministry said the EU would not tolerate attacks on its borders and would not allow other countries to attack them, adding that the EU is a strong continent. For its part, Iran has begun the initial phase of exercises within the air defense zone of the Natanz nuclear facility. As part of this phase, air defense units of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Space Force are conducting comprehensive defensive maneuvers to protect the nuclear facility. Analysts believe that Iran is seriously concerned about the statements of Trump and his administration officials. Therefore, it is actively preparing for a possible joint attack by the U.S. and Israel. After the fall of the Assad regime, Iranian forces and their proxies were forced to flee Syria. The Wall Street Journal quoted U.S., EU, and Arab officials as saying that most of them, including officers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, fled to Iraq and Iran, while representatives of the Lebanese terrorist movement Hezbollah fled to Lebanon and were forced to leave behind a significant amount of military equipment and weapons, which were later destroyed by Israel or captured by militants of the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham terrorist organization and other groups. Therefore, Iran is now concentrating enough forces to repel a possible attack. At the same time, the Guardians of the Islamic Revolution said, quote, "Soon we will reclaim all the lands of the historic Persian kingdom from the Euphrates to the shores of the Middle East and expand it to Palestine. We are obliged to restore the honor of the Persian people and recover the territories that were part of the kingdom. The goal is clear, and we will achieve it through the power of resistance." Turkey increasingly refers to the borders of the Ottoman Empire. Iran is referring to the Persian Empire. And in any case, the conflict is going to be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Turkey is seriously talking about a full-fledged invasion of Syria to fight the Kurds. Turkey's negotiations with Kurdish formations have been going on since the fall of the Assad regime in Syria. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan received Prime Minister of the Kurdish Regional Authority of Iraq, Masroor Barzani, at the presidential complex in Ankara. The meeting discussed issues related to the current situation. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said on CNN Turk that Turkey may launch a full-scale special military operation against the Kurds in Syria if they do not agree to fulfill Erdogan's ultimatum. The Turkish side has made clear demands. If the Kurds do not want the military special operation option, the foreign terrorists must leave Syria, the ringleaders must leave the country, and the remaining members of the Kurdistan Workers' Party must lay down their arms and work with the new Syrian administration. According to him, right now Damascus is dialoguing with the Kurds, and if necessary, will hold a second time. But if there are no results, Turkey considers the military special operation a legitimate choice, the minister said. At the same time, the Americans are currently building new bases in northern Syria and continue to build up their grouping. Therefore, even the largest special operation that Turkey may organize will definitely be coordinated with the United States. The Turks are sure that the Kurds are deliberately delaying the time, waiting for the official presidency of Donald Trump. Experts link this to the fact that the U.S. Republican Party has plans to destabilize Iran. And for the realization of these tasks, the Kurds and American bases in Syria are needed. And the Kurds themselves, using the broad military support of the United States, are effectively fighting the pro-Turkish Syrian National Army in northern Syria. As it became known yesterday, the Biden administration decided that the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham movement, headed by the new Syrian leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani, will remain on the list of terrorist organizations. It is noteworthy that the U.S. leadership has stopped the persecution of Julani himself. Plus, for the third week now, weapons depots continue to explode across Syria for no known reason. Footage shows another explosion at a weapons depot in the western countryside of Aleppo. There are casualties. In general, a lot depends on the Trump administration and their agreements with the Turkish side. On the one hand, it is important for Turkey to close the issue with the Kurds, as it is a sensitive domestic political issue for Erdogan personally. On the other hand, Turkey will never dare to go against the U.S. Therefore, it is interesting how events will unfold in terms of diplomacy. Turkish publication Ahaber claims that in the coming days, the leader of the new Syrian authorities, Julani, will pay a visit to Turkey, where he will meet with President Recep Erdogan on an official level. According to the publication, this will be the first foreign visit of the new leader of Syria. It is also worth paying attention to the publication of the Israeli source Israel Hayom, where it is reported that despite the crisis, Israel and Turkey maintain common interests. According to the publication, the countries pursued similar strategic goals in Syria, and in the long term, both are interested in containing Iran and ensuring security in the Middle East. However, Turkey and Israel have serious differences over the Gaza Strip issue, which is precisely what stands in the way of reconciliation between the sides. According to a report in the Lebanese newspaper Al Akbar from senior Egyptian officials, talks in Doha on a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and a hostage deal are moving toward a solution. According to them, there is a possibility of reaching an agreement by the end of next week. They believe the arrival in Doha of Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, will be a declaration of agreement to finalize the deal. Egyptian officials say the agreement includes a 6 to 8 week ceasefire, increased and regulated aid, and the restoration of healthcare. We can only hope that the nightmare going on in Gaza will end soon. Write in the comments what you think about it. Stay tuned. Boosty and Patreon for those who want to support the channel. See you